So where's Jim's number? Click on the info right there, the little I button. And then, is there a history in there where you can see past calls? Incoming on June 2nd? No, it's gone.
Mr. Brenner, is that what happened in this case?
Yes, I am.
It says to count one murder, a second-degree felony. To that charge, how do you plead?
Guilty.
A remote farm, a missing teenager, and a convicted felon with a dark past. This is the case of James Brenner and the disappearance of Dylan Rounds. What started as a simple search for a young farmer quickly unraveled into a chilling investigation, revealing disturbing connections and shocking evidence. In this video, we break down the key moments of the case through exclusive interviews, critical searches, and first-hand accounts from those involved. Let's begin.
Okay. Were you able to find them? Were you able to find them?
Yes, we found them. There's a story behind it I can tell you if you need to.
Okay.
The shotgun is in a house in Rigby.
Okay.
That is my grandfather's that I bought, and he has a room up there, and that was the 40 was not in here. We looked in his camper, didn't find it. No key fob for the truck, so when I broke the window, the alarm went off, we undid the battery. No key fob. We looked in his camper and all the cupboards and stuff, looked in the bathroom, nothing. I believe it was Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting my days kind of run together. Tuesday or Wednesday. My mother came here, she has real bad arthritis, and my sister was here, we were all out searching. She used the bathroom. Dylan hadn't flushed it, you'll see it here, it's really nasty. So my sister went in and cleaned it, still no gun. Later, my son and JD came in and the gun was sitting on a sink. It's outside of the bathroom, but right by the bathroom door where the toilet and the shower is the sink, but it's not in the bathroom. The gun was sitting right there with the clip outside of it.
Okay.
Sitting there. And then, so my son and JD didn't think much of it. They grabbed the gun, put it in my truck. I didn't think much of it. Oh, they found the gun. I don't know. Then we started realizing that it wasn't there when my sister cleaned the bathroom for my mom to use and all that, and it was there. Then later they found the key fob the next morning, I believe, and I don't remember which morning, what day it was. Candace has all this documented, and we told the detectives.
Okay.
The key fob was in there.
Okay.
There's a key fob in here now, but that came from Rigby. My mom brought it back.
Okay.
One of the first key steps in the investigation was searching Dylan Round's trailer and the surrounding area. Investigators hoped to find clues that could explain his sudden disappearance. As they entered the trailer, they immediately noticed things that seemed out of place, signs that something wasn't right. But it wasn't just what was missing that raised concerns, it was what they did find that deepened the mystery even further.
Is it a big generator going there?
Yeah. It's running an irrigation pump and a pivot circle out here.
Okay.
Beware, it's dirty.
Okay. So what brought him out here to live?
My dad and him decided to buy a 640 out here. I don't know exactly how he got out into here. And so my dad and him bought this place, and I was totally against it.
As investigators stepped into Dylan Round's trailer, they immediately began assessing the scene. The trailer, a modest space where Dylan lived while working on his farm, held potential clues that could explain his sudden disappearance. Officers scanned the area, looking for any signs of struggle, missing belongings, or anything out of place.
This place, and I was totally against it. Pissed off just to be that he came out here, because I know this is a shitty area. He came out here and was going to try to dry farm, and he started working with the water rights, and he went and got some water rights on his own, doing all that kind of stuff. And he got water rights, just so I don't know, he just wants to farm. It was cheap, really cheap ground. Garbage ground.
So does anything look out of place?
It looks a little bit clean from when I came in here, a little bit.
One of the first things noted was the condition of the trailer itself. Some personal items appeared undisturbed, while others seemed out of place. The lack of Dylan's wallet and phone raised immediate concerns. These were things he would never leave behind voluntarily. The investigators carefully documented every detail, knowing that even the smallest piece of evidence could be crucial.
Is that for the gun?
Yeah. So was the gun in the case?
No, the gun was... I don't know if the case was there. I don't know a whole lot about this. I can't remember.
Okay.
You might want to take a picture of that, and then we can ask Candace, my ex-wife,
Okay.
if she remembers the gun case being in the safe. She's been documenting things. I've been out doing all kinds of trying to look. Did you take any pictures in the bathroom?
Yeah.
539, 328, director.
During the search, a gun was mentioned, adding a new layer of suspicion to the case. James Brenner, a convicted felon known to be in the area, was not legally allowed to possess firearms. If a weapon had been present in or around Dylan's trailer, it could be a significant clue linking Brenner or someone else to the crime. Law enforcement made careful note of this information as they continued their examination of the scene.
Can we look in here?
Yeah, go for
I
it.
don't remember seeing this, but I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't there. Oh, I still got them shoes I gave you. Yeah, State's there, that's not.
Yeah.
He's been staying at a place, the Wine Cup Gamble Ranch.
Outside the trailer, attention shifted to another trailer parked nearby. Investigators carefully examined it, questioning whether it could be connected to Dylan's disappearance. Was it a place where something happened? Could it hold any evidence that might explain what led to Dylan's vanishing? Every possibility had to be explored. Law enforcement searched the area around it, looking for any signs of a struggle, disturbed ground, or items that seemed out of place. The presence of this second trailer raised even more questions, adding another layer of mystery to an already complex case.
Is this other trailer his as well?
What?
Is this other trailer his as well?
Yes. It's a tool shed. He's got like bolts and nuts and
Okay.
clamps and stuff. It's a shop type of thing.
Okay. Mind if we go in there as well?
Oh, go ahead. You go anywhere you want to go. I don't mind one bit. He had some alfalfa seed
Okay.
sitting up there. My dad had my boy and JD take it out and load it in his truck to take it back to Rigby because it was worth a lot of money. And I don't know why the hell his mind isn't that worried about the seed, but whatever.
Foxtrot 328.
Did he have any medical issues or anything?
Was that from the complainant on the suicidal?
After After searching the trailers, investigators turned their attention to Dylan's vehicle. If he had left on his own or had been taken against his will, the truck could hold crucial evidence. As officers inspected the interior, they carefully noted any signs of disturbance. Inside, they found some of Dylan's clothes along with his personal items that added to the growing mystery. Why were these belongings left behind? Was this a sign that Dylan never planned to leave on his own? Investigators bagged the items as evidence, knowing that even the smallest fibers or DNA traces could provide a breakthrough in the case.
The clothes that are out here, are they laundered or have they been used? The clothes that are out here, have they been laundered or are they new?
know. Get a light on. You can look at it.
Yeah.
There was a guy with a hound dog that came out and he took some clothes and he said in the suitcase were kind of wet, like they'd been laundered. So maybe those. I can't hardly tell.
That looks like it's not been laundered. Let's get that. Yeah. Just a few things that doesn't appear to.
Probably that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All the dirt and stuff's falling out of it, so it's a good sign.
Maybe a hat.
Yeah.
You want to get a blanket in there, but he hasn't been here for a while with that.
That probably wouldn't be needed. I don't think we need the blanket. Oh, sorry, got that in your eyes.
In the investigation into Dylan Round's disappearance, Don Hatley emerged as a significant figure due to his association with James Brenner, the primary suspect. Hatley, a friend of Brenner, allowed him to stay in a trailer on his property. During the investigation, Hatley cooperated with law enforcement by providing a .22 caliber rifle that had been in Brenner's possession, which was crucial since Brenner, as a convicted felon, was prohibited from owning firearms.
So, what we really need to do, like you say, like we're glad that we're out here to help, and we're, trying to figure things out. What we really need to do is make sure we know timelines really well. Okay. So what we understand is that Dylan had gone to Jim's house that morning, right?
Not that I know of.
Not that you know of?
No.
Wasn't there, he was getting his grain truck into the...
His grain truck was here. He was getting seed out of it to plant this.
Okay, so his grain truck was here that morning, and I thought he was taking it towards Jim's house, no? To put it into the...
Yeah, that's what he was going to do.
All right. Well, you explain to me what you know about that.
Okay, I'm just going by what I heard from Karen and Jim and whatnot.
Okay.
Karen told me that she talked to Dylan Saturday morning, and it was going to rain, so he'd call her back when he got the grain truck undercover.
Okay. He called...
No, I think Karen called him. Or he called Karen. I don't remember.
Okay.
Anyway, that's what bothered her.
In an interview conducted inside a vehicle, Hatley recounted his interactions with Brenner around the time of Dylan's disappearance. He described Brenner's behavior as increasingly erratic and mentioned that Brenner had spoken about disputes with Dylan over farming equipment. Hatley also noted that Brenner had borrowed tools from him, which were later found to be linked to the crime scene. Authorities turned to Don Hatley's phone, where they discovered a series of messages exchanged with Brenner before and after Dylan went missing. Officers carefully scrolled through the texts, looking for anything suspicious, any sign of a cover-up, a warning, or a clue about Dylan's fate.
Well, I talked to him that day, right?
I said give me a call, but I can't remember.
Yeah,
I'd have to look at your...
That was Sunday, May 29th. I said, give me a call. And that was at 7:15 in the evening, so...
Often if you go into that call history, you can click on you go into your calls, and
That's
instead
my
of,
calls.
so where's Jim's number? Click on the info right there, the little I button. And then, is there a history in there where you can see past calls? Incoming on June 2nd? No, it's gone. Might not save it.
I don't know those phones very well.
Okay.
I don't know computer stuff at all, really.
No, that's fine.
So, maybe, yeah, I don't know.
We're just really trying to nail down a timeline of those events.
Yeah.
And because we're getting some information, but sometimes a little bit hard to believe, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not going to hide things from you or be dishonest with you, but there's some things that are being told to us that just don't quite match up with what phone data tells us.
As investigators pieced together the timeline of Dylan Round's disappearance, they began to focus on James Brenner's behavior on that crucial day. While speaking with witnesses, law enforcement noted something unusual. Brenner, who was known for being late to work, had been ready on time that morning. One of the officers pointed this out, questioning why a man with a habit of showing up late had suddenly changed his routine. Was it just a coincidence, or was Brenner trying to cover his tracks? Investigators knew that changes in routine often point to premeditated actions. They had to ask, was this the moment James Brenner set his plan into motion?
Just the muzzle loader, or was there any other firearms?
All he's got was those black powder guns, 2 rifles, and a 6-gun. He said the last time I seen him wearing that 6-gun was 2 years ago, but just thought he ought to get it out of there.
Why?
Basically safety, is what he told me. Last time, they had him in holding for over a year, and when he got out, everything he had was gone. Everything. And, if you ever look through Jim's phone, I'm sure you guys already did, but, he looks at all these old gun sites and stuff and works on, or likes working on stuff, that's one of his things, all the old stuff.
Was it just you and Jim that were at the barbecue? Was there anybody else that was over there?
Just us. Don't know anybody else except Dylan and Kurt, really. Dylan used to come over for dinner about every Sunday when he was down here, and not so much this year. Busy. Actually, it was a great deal odd.
So, I can't ask you what's going through Jim's head at that time, but what's going through yours when he brings you his rifles and a 6-gun?
Honestly, it looked like he was scared that, he was going to be detained for 6 months or a year and lose everything he had. He said, no, I'll never see my dog again. She's old. And he had no idea what happened to his horses last time. All his gun, everything he owned disappeared.
So why do you think he's going to get detained, or why does he think he's going to get detained for 6 months?
Well, he doesn't. He just realizes that it's a possibility because it happened in the past.
One of the biggest revelations in the interview was Hatley's connection to a firearm that belonged to Brenner. Since Brenner was a convicted felon, he wasn't allowed to own guns. However, Hatley admitted to handing over a .22 caliber rifle that had been in Brenner's possession. This detail was critical, as it gave investigators another link between Brenner and potential evidence in the case. While Hatley's interview provided key details, it also left some lingering questions. What else did he know about Brenner's actions? Was he withholding any additional information? Investigators would continue to piece together the timeline, but Hatley's statements had already played a major role in strengthening the case against Brenner.
If I had a firearm, I'd have said no. but
Black powder.
black powder, it's not a firearm. Like, it's allowed to have it as far as I know.
Okay. So sometime after, Dylan, do you remember how long after? I mean, it's only been 3 weeks now.
That seems like forever.
As the investigation into Dylan Round's disappearance progressed, law enforcement conducted a second interview with Don Hatley, a man who had been closely connected to James Brenner. This time, investigators were looking for more clarity, more details, and any inconsistencies in his previous statements. Sitting across from the officers, Hatley faced a series of direct, pointed questions. His connection to Brenner had already placed him under scrutiny, and with new evidence emerging, investigators needed to know if he was withholding anything.
Yeah, so like I told you, it's been a long court process. Where he's a federal inmate first. So for us to do anything in court, we actually have to petition the federal government, and it takes a minimum of 6 weeks. So the first time he came in, it was to appoint counsel, and they did that. And then there was another 6 weeks, and the counsel that he had was removed from representing him in that case. So then they did that. Then it was another 6 weeks, and they appointed new attorney, and so now he's got two attorneys right now. But it's been a long time coming. Is it decision to prelim that they're doing? Or
Yeah,
just
so
prelim?
it's a week-long prelim in May to see if they can go to trial. So.
Yeah, and I mean with how big this case was and everything, it's going to be there for quite a while unless we figure something out. You know what I mean? So,
I did hear a rumor,
okay.
and it sounds like you don't know, so it might be just a rumor. I talked to the guy that bought the property where the grain truck was.
Mm-hmm. I know who it is. I just can't place the name, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Got him in my phone book even, and I worked for him a couple times, little jobs.
Seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, he is. He's a real nice guy. He said that Dylan's mom was out there doing some more digging around, and she mentioned to him that Jim was trying to deal
To make a deal?
on where to find the body.
As the interrogation continued, investigators shifted their focus to James Brenner's actions immediately after Dylan's disappearance. They wanted to know if Brenner had displayed any signs of guilt, nervousness, or erratic behavior when he interacted with Don Hatley. Given the circumstances, any unusual reaction could be a crucial indicator of what had happened that day.
Well for you in any way, the bone and him. We also, in some interviews that we had done, they kind of touched on basically how the murder took place, what happened, what he was killed with, and part of that also runs into when you had the guns, because the way that it was represented to us is essentially what he killed him with was the .22, okay? And then what we were told was he, at a minimum, gave you the guns and said you needed to take them, and you were supposed to take them and do something with them to get rid of them. Obviously, that's not what happened, but that is what has been reported to us. And then, it doesn't look very good that you had held on to the .22, right? Now that we know that's what he murdered him with. I'm not saying you murdered him, Don. I'm not at all.
I didn't, and I didn't help cover it up either. I'm going to tell you exactly. And I remember it. When he brought me them guns, he said, I need you to hold on to these for me. And I said, why? He said, well, I'm the low fruit on the tree. They're going to be looking at me.
Mm-hmm.
He said, even though I can legally have these, I want you to hold them for me. And I said, okay, that makes sense. Because at the time, I didn't think he had anything to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I talked to you guys and Jeff, the more evidence was coming, and it was like, holy shit, he did this. And like I said, it freaks me out to this day that somebody could be that cold. That cold-blooded. Come to my house and eat dinner and watch a movie and not. The only thing
there was you had no suspicion whatsoever at all, and he didn't say nothing to you, he didn't, nothing like that?
The only thing out of the ordinary that day, and I told somebody, is that for the first time ever coming to my house, he was on time. He was always 20, 40, 50 minutes late.
What was his demeanor when he showed up?
Normal.
You wouldn't have suspected anything out of the ordinary?
No, his shirt was wet. You know, he said he stopped at the pond, cut some wood like he always did on the way over.
As the interrogation deepened, investigators focused on a critical piece of evidence, a firearm linked to James Brenner. As a convicted felon, Brenner was legally prohibited from possessing weapons, yet this gun had surfaced in the investigation. Hatley had already admitted to handling it, but now officers needed him to reveal the full story. One of the key moments in the interview came when Hatley was confronted with new evidence. Investigators knew more than they had before, and they pushed Hatley for the truth. Would he admit to hearing or seeing something incriminating? Or would he continue to protect himself? His body language, his hesitation, and even the way he chose his words carefully told investigators just as much as what he actually said. Chase Venstra, a 41-year-old man, became connected to the Dylan Rounds case due to interactions he reportedly had with Dylan shortly before Dylan's disappearance in late May 2022. Family members mentioned that Dylan had a weird run-in with a man on a gravel road around May 25th, believed to be Venstra. This individual was later seen in Montello, Nevada, a few days after this encounter.
So, he is out of town and he wasn't able to come down here, so he called me to see if I would come.
Jeff?
Yeah, that's Ross. So he just called me to see if I would come down and talk to you and see if what you were looking for, what you wanted to tell us.
I want these charges dropped that Jeff has got put on me.
I don't know anything about that.
Hey, the other day I'm at work and Jeff calls me and says he wants to talk to me about Dylan's case. Out of the blue.
How long ago was it?
Like 10 days ago.
Really? Okay.
Out of the blue. I've been doing good on my probation. I've been out since last May. I've been doing good. I haven't gotten any new trouble. I've got a new baby on the way. I've got a beautiful new girlfriend. I'm working every day. I'm doing what I'm supposed to. I've passed every drug test. I haven't had any trouble. Okay? Getting my life back together.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he calls me. Says he wants to talk about Dylan's case. I says, okay. I tell him where I'm working. He comes there. Hardly says anything to me about the case, just says that I have a warrant out of Nevada for armed home invasion.
Okay.
And I've never done anything like that in my life. I don't know where they're concocting this stuff from.
I wasn't aware of it at all.
The only thing I can think of is them guns that Kurt Wadsworth planted at my place.
Okay.
And I already been charged for them, so they can't even charge me for that anymore.
Well, wasn't that what you were in before the first time?
Yeah.
When you're in Davis County?
Yep. So how? That's the only thing I can even think of. So, and Jeff had to come up with some pretty bad charges to get me put in with Brenner.
I have no idea. Honestly, I didn't even know that he contacted you to talk to you.
Yep.
I'm not even at that point in the case.
He arrested me right there, hauled me here. They put me in.
Ross did?
Yep.
Okay.
They put me in there. I'm in the cell above Brenner. Okay. I've got to talk to him. I've talked to other cellmates. I know a lot.
Okay.
I know a lot. I can put this thing to bed for you.
Authorities needed to establish where Venstra was at the time of the disappearance, what he might have known, and whether he had any ties to James Brenner, the man ultimately convicted of Dylan's murder. His criminal background and possession of multiple firearms only added to the suspicions, prompting investigators to dig deeper. They pressed him for details about his interaction with Dylan, searching for any clue that could lead them closer to the truth. Was he simply a man who crossed paths with Dylan by chance, or did he hold vital information that could change the course of the case? One of the key voices in this case is James Prophet, a local who shared crucial insights about James Brenner and his behavior around the time of Dylan Rounds' disappearance. In his interview, Prophet describes Brenner as a violent and unpredictable man with a history of aggression. He recalls eerie encounters and unsettling details that paint a clearer picture of Brenner's potential involvement. As investigators dug deeper, Prophet's statements added weight to the growing suspicions surrounding Brenner.
Just like you're skeptical of us, right?
I get it.
You know? Just like you're skeptical of us and why we're talking there, like whether or not we're here to fuck you over or not. I can just tell you that we're not. We're trying to find this boy Dylan. Obviously, we know that you've spoken to other people about Brenner, and that's why we want to talk to you and see if there's any information that you have that might be of help to us. Now, you can tell us certain things.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't mean anything until we can corroborate it.
He had a buddy, some guy named Don.
Okay.
That he's trying to keep out of it. He's supposed to be his best friend. I read some of his emails too. I read a lot of his emails where somebody wrote him and told him that we wanted to make sure there was fun. There's plenty of people out there to put money on Brenner's books as long as he kept his mouth shut and no implications putting Don into it. But he lost all his messages somehow. But yeah.
Where did you hear this thing about a septic tank?
From Brenner.
What exactly did he say?
He said...
Start from the beginning how the conversation came up.
Yeah. Man, he had so many conversations, it's unreal.
Why would he talk to you about this?
I don't know. He took a liking to me.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Because I don't act like all the rest of them. We're in a fight full of gangbangers. It's loud and obnoxious, and I'm not.
Yeah.
So, and I was only supposed to be in the cell for 3 hours.
Okay.
And they were supposed to move me, but I've been there. I don't even know how long I've been in there. A couple months.
Okay.
A couple months. I don't know. But he said putting a body. He said he used to work for a company that put cows when they died, they would cover them with shit, manure. He said that the shit will eat the body up, and he don't want to give up the body just yet because he's afraid it might go federal. Talking about the body might be cross state line. He talked about another spot up there where he said he lives. He knows that if it snows a foot, he's supposed to get a foot or 2 foot of snow up there where he was at. And if that's it, the search is over. You guys will never find it. It's been going on 2 years now, and I'm just like, I listen to it, and I don't talk to him about my case, but yeah, I don't talk to him, but he has no problem with talking about his. He hasn't given me exact location of a body yet, but I'm sure he will.
Why did he say that?
Just because he takes me to be his friend, and I'm not.
What has he told you about?
He's told me.
Start from the beginning.
Beginning of what?
And the beginning of like when he started talking to you about his case. And I want to be perfectly. I want you as you're telling us this, because if I were to just take what you were saying to me and take it as if it's coming from the burning bush, I would look like a fucking idiot.
Right.
Because there's going to be plenty of people that are skeptical, like, hey, you're talking to a guy who's looking at a murder himself, he's blah, blah, blah. How do you know what he's saying is the truth? So what I want you to think about when you're telling me this stuff is anything that you can think of, another person that may have been present, another, if anything that I can use to corroborate what he's saying, what you're saying.
I'd say Don, he said Don was, it took 2 people to move it.
Start from the beginning, though.
But I don't really know how to start from the beginning.
Like the first time he talked to you about his case, just tell me about that.
No.
The first time you remember.
He just told me, he used a lot of foul language, that you guys don't look at the simple fact that the kid broke into his place, parked the truck inside a building where it wasn't supposed to be. There was 2 different trucks or something, and it had to be 2 people that done it because somebody had to move Dylan's truck. And he was salty about having to give up some gun. They put a gun back that belonged to Dylan. I don't know, a 40 cal, something, cigar or something like that.
Okay.
And some keys that he almost got caught with.
Okay.
When you keep saying they, who's the other person?
I don't know. That's what he says. There has to
But
be.
he says that. Does he say he had another person, or what does he tell you in that regard?
Because you're not necessarily saying that he's saying that he did these things. It's like he's saying that they did it.
He's saying that there had to be. He says, yeah, somebody set that evidence up. He didn't touch it. He didn't touch the truck, so on and so on. But he had to have somebody with him. Dylan had to have somebody with him. But then he'll tell me he's got something you guys want, so you're going to make a deal with him, or he's going to sit here and rot for 5 years. But the only other person that he's implicated was Don, some dude named Don.
How did he implicate him?
He implicated him that he was his best friend, and him and Don, Dylan owed him and Don a whole bunch of money or something.
Okay.
And they didn't never get paid. And he's really jealous of the kid, and he wants the parents to admit that they brought up a bad kid. It's the parents' fault, not his.
So when you say he implicated Don, that would mean that he told you that Don helped him do the murder.
Don helped
or did he allude to that?
No,
we need to know what happened.
Yeah, he didn't say that. He hasn't said how he's killed him, but he told Don to take that .22 rifle and get it out of here. Don was supposed to take it to his brothers or something and get rid of it, because Don had a bunch of guns in his house, and that gun, James Brenner didn't need to be associated with that gun because he's a convicted felon. And the gun was there, and I guess FBI tear this place apart or something.
As investigators closed in on the truth, all signs pointed to James Brenner, a man with a violent past and a suspicious connection to Dylan Rounds. Though authorities lacked a body, the evidence against Brenner continued to mount. Then, in July 2022, law enforcement took their first step toward justice by arresting Brenner on federal firearms charges. As a convicted felon, he was prohibited from possessing guns, yet multiple firearms were found in his possession during the investigation. Months later, in March 2023, the case against Brenner took a decisive turn. He was formally charged with the murder of Dylan Rounds, accused of taking the young man's life and attempting to cover his tracks. But even as the weight of the charges pressed down on him, Brenner refused to reveal the truth about Dylan's whereabouts. The final breakthrough came in May 2024, when Brenner struck a plea deal with prosecutors. In exchange for admitting to second-degree felony murder, he led investigators to Dylan's remains, ending nearly 2 years of agonizing uncertainty for Dylan's family. On July 1st, 2024, Brenner was sentenced to a minimum of 3 years and a maximum of 30 years in prison. The case had finally reached its grim conclusion, but for Dylan's loved ones, justice came at an unbearable cost.